All right, good morning, my friends. Chris Tonis here, CEO of Preeminent Recruitment. And as promised, I'm coming to you and making you these brief videos about job searches, resume, interviews, negotiating compensation, everything you need to know to understand how you can set yourself up to land the job that you want and deserve. So today, I've been getting a lot of questions over the last couple of weeks in reference to how to structure your resume in the way that it looks professionally formatted, even if it's not. And so my first topic to discuss with this is, be a little bit cautious about people that call themselves professional resume writers. I mean, they don't have necessarily any certifications, degrees, or professional experience in most cases to elicit the amount of compensation that they're asking for. I saw the other day on LinkedIn somebody who I followed her page and I followed her link to her resume formatting services, and she was charging as much as $3,000 for an executive resume. And for everyday people is actually the wording she used in her copywriting. She charges as much as $1,500 to format your resume. This is absolutely insane to me because I can tell you, as someone who has formatted thousands of resumes, it doesn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes of her time to do that. And so I want you to throw caution out there when you see people presenting this. And the experience for this individual, as well as others out there, is usually lacking. This person was a manager in the logistics type of position for the last 10 years. She's not a recruiter. She's not an HR. She doesn't see thousands of resumes a week like we do. So please, 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 please be careful about this. Now, I had another conversation with an interesting man who told me that he paid last year $1,000 to have his resume professionally formatted. He sent it to me. I took a look. The first thing I thought was, wow, this is overwhelming. And I couldn't even tell what he had been doing for the last 10 years because I was so overwhelmed by the graphics and the imagery and the long objective and all this stuff. And this is really problematic. And I asked him, he's a director, and I asked him, I said, what would you think if you saw this resume? What do you prefer to see? Would you like to see something clean and concise that it's easy to see what the people are doing? Or would you rather something like this that seems like in theory would be useful because it has so much there, but in actuality, I don't think it holds much value. And he said, honestly, if I had both of these applications on my desk, I'd probably interview the person that's clean and concise strictly because I would take the time, just the few minutes I have in a day, to take a look at it, see if they're qualified and move forward. Where the other one I'd put aside and say, okay, I got to read through this when I have a little bit more time. It might never get back to it. So I want you to be very, very cautious about what you do next from here. Now, if you want to create a resume that wins, if you want to create a resume that actually does a good job in helping you get the job that you want and deserve, my best pieces of advice for you is, one, make sure that your resume is clean and concise. I cannot stress this enough. Now, when I say concise, that doesn't mean lacking in information or data or anything like that. I mean, it's concise in the sense that it is very minimalist. So at the top of your resume, you should have, your name, your contact information, your location if you're applying to only local jobs, and any other small details around how to get in touch with you. Sometimes a LinkedIn profile is key if you're applying to sales, marketing, IT jobs, or you can send them to projects. So that might be an IT position. You might have a link to a project as well. Then from there, the other thing you could do is you should move down to what is required in the position. So if you're applying to a job that requires a master's degree and you hold that master's degree, lead with that strength. If it requires a master's degree and you only have a bachelor's but 15 years of experience, I wouldn't start with education. I'd leave that to the bottom. And then from there, you should have your date of how long you work somewhere, and then easy to read. So in all caps, bolded, underlined, however you want to do it, the name of the company. And then below that, again, bolded, capitalized, but opposite of what you just had above, have the job title. And then 5 to 7, maybe up to 10 bullet points that are extremely relevant, that are data rich, and that are content intensive and that make you seem like the right person for the job. And don't omit soft skills. That's a very important thing to state. So now that we've got the basics of the resume, some other things that you should be aware of and that you should really hold to heart is every time you apply for a position, you should be looking at the job description in detail and making sure that your resume is completely job specific. Now, if you are applying to a marketing job and you are a sales representative, one thing you could do is you can't change the job titles because you can't lie on your resume. But what you can do is talk about your responsibilities in the bullet points that were very specific to marketing. And this will make you a lot more attractive for those types of jobs than just applying with your generic sales resume. From there, one last thing that we need to touch upon is there's a growing concern for people out there about resume bots. And essentially, if you're not aware, companies use screeners to screen if you're qualified or not. So if they list a job on one of the major career sites, CareerBuilder, Indeed, Monster, their own CRM, what they'll do is they'll have a feature that says only accept applications from people that fit within a certain percentage. And so when you go on and apply, if your resume is lacking certain keywords or you're lacking certain amounts of experience on your resume because you only want to put your most 2 recent jobs, you might not meet the qualifications by the screener and they may never see your resume. And the problem that we're seeing a lot right now is these screeners aren't intelligent enough. They haven't had enough data sets to really process what we know as machine learning and be able to act on independently to validate if somebody's a good fit or not. We will get there someday, but not yet. So that means it's increasingly more important that everything you want to put in your resume is there and that your resume is specific to the job that you're applying for, because these algorithms are relatively basic at this point in time. And so I don't want to see you get screened out before you ever have an opportunity to speak with somebody because a simple algorithm said that you don't have 4 years of experience when you do, or a simple algorithm says that you don't have the keyword marketing when you do. So these are some of my biggest takeaways. Now, if you would, please let me know if you'd like to see some more content specifically around resumes and how to write an optimal resume, as well as please engage with this, subscribe, and follow along, because there's going to be a lot more content that's going to help you get the job that you deserve in the next 30, 60 days. All the best. Talk to you soon.